do, I don't do no more. Things I used to do, I don't do no more. Things I used to do, I don't do no more. For the Lord's made a change in me.
Hello, this is Real History. I am Melissa, and today is the 10th of April, 2025. And after several months, I am back on with Neil Foster for the usual second Thursday of the month. Hi, Neil.
Hello.
How have you been?
Hold on, I'm just consenting to being recorded here. Okay, we're all right.
Okay.
I've been kind of busy doing things, the jewellery stuff and chickens and trying to get the pool cleaned and trying to get people to come and do one piece of work for me so that I can get the pool done at a decent time. And of course, they don't turn up.
What's the piece of work you're looking for?
Well, it's full of leaves, and I've been trying to get the leaves out for about 2 weeks, and the equipment keeps breaking, and all these Chinese bags you get from Amazon and stuff like that. And I spoke to the pool guy and I said, can you come out and just bring your big heavy duty machine and get the leaves out of my pool, and then I can do the rest. Yeah, no problem. Fill your pool up with water, blah, blah, because I need to do, we need to put a lot of that to waste, da, 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 da. I says, right, okay, so I left the tap running for like 5 hours to fill the pool up, and he didn't show up. So then it starts evaporating again, of course, so the water starts going down, so then I had to just do it myself and keep going. So that's just the age of frustration.
Is there any way to can you put a cover on it to keep the leaves?
No, it's too big.
Yeah.
We've got the biggest pool in the city, apparently. Which I could do without, to be honest. But there you go. It came with the house.
Yeah.
So, yeah, but talk about the age of frustration. I went to a punk rock festival last Sunday. I was trying to get in as a vendor in case anybody. It was fully booked, but I thought somebody might cancel. I might get in there, but I couldn't. So I thought, okay, I'll just stay and watch it. And I came away from there feeling pretty depressed, I have to say.
Really? Why?
Well, all the music sounded exactly the same. They might have just as well put the same drummer up there and just kept going the whole day. But I don't know. There's an older couple sitting opposite me, and we got chatting. And I said to them, "What happened to the protest? What happened to the angst and the anger and the we're against the system and all that kind of stuff?" So this is just like a comedy show to me. And they said, "Yeah, we need that kind of anger and angst more than ever." I said, "You're damn right."
Yeah.
I mean, they were an older couple. They were probably a little bit older than I was, but and the people that were there. I mean, you're talking about furries, Antifa, Black Lives Matter, and the Rainbow Brigade. And I started, what? I've come to a freak show.
Well, so punk was always, anger against the man, the system, etc. So what is it now? What are the lyrics about?
It's like, I don't know, because you couldn't make them out. I mean, back in the day, at least you could hear what they were saying. But it's just, some of them doing cover versions of Gloria Gaynor. I mean, like, what's that about?
What was her big hit? I know I should know that.
They played it, and I thought you'd recognise it, but for the life of me, I can't remember because I don't care. But just drivel. That's the best I could. It's like what they used to call it, bubblegum rock or some bubblegum pop music. It's like bubblegum punk. It's just it's drivel. There's no. A lot of the old punk songs used to have stories to them, or they were on a certain theme, and they were either done like with a great degree of sarcasm, or they deliberately went out to offend people to get them thinking.
Right.
And there's none of that. I mean, of course, if one of them had offended somebody, there'd been a riot in the crowd with the furries and the Antifa people and all those idiots,
So
and I don't know.
Do furries wear jewelry? Were you able to sell any
Oh
jewelry?
no, I wasn't selling in there. I just because I have sold to furries, believe it or not. But that's just, yeah, it's very difficult not to laugh.
Oh my goodness.
You know, I mean, it was on Saturday, and this girl had a cat head thing on. You couldn't see her face. She never took it off all day. I kept seeing her. She was walking about the thing. It was 90 degrees. I was like, what? She's mad. And she had these long gloves on with the claws, the cat's claws and everything. And her mother stood beside my booth, and she was helping her put her gloves and everything on. And the girl didn't want to take the cat thing off, and she's pampering her and pandering to her mental illness.
How old was the girl? Did you have any idea?
I have no idea. I would imagine, 15, 16 maybe. I don't know. But I mean, you couldn't even tell if it's a girl or not, to be honest. But just the mother, fixing her tail and going, "Oh, Mum, is my tail straight?" What are you talking about? My tail straight? Jesus. Who's she trying to impress?
Well, I think we've talked about this before, but now it won't be transgenders in the bathroom, but do you have to have a cat box? Is it mandatory by law?
Yeah, not yet.
Or a potted plant at least.
Yeah, maybe they'll make it a condition to turn up at a market that you got to have some nibbles for the cats. Dog treats. Yeah, it's crazy. Bizarre. But yeah, the punk festival, I just thought, oh well, punk is dead. I'll never be resurrected if that's the kind of crowd that's going there. But what made me really kind of feel a bit depressed was these young people, when the bovine excrement really does hit the fan, they're done. Mm-hmm. They think they're at a punk rock festival and they think they're all rebels, but they look like fashion victims to me. That's all they look like. They wouldn't be able to stand up themselves, if somebody propped them up on crutches, They're gone.
Yeah, absolutely. Well,
a whole generation is just gone. I guess that's all it takes.
Yeah, they've had a number done on them.
Oh yeah, I mean, I can't even see any of these people being parents.
No.
I might have kittens, I don't know, but they'll probably adopt them.
I'm adopting a litter.
Yeah, I can't have one of my own. I'll get some kittens from Africa. I'll be really woke. Yeah. Yeah, it's just I don't know. It's very, very sad. As I say, these you wouldn't even be able to have a conversation with these young people. About like when I was young, when the whole punk thing kicked off, or was kicked off, should I say? We all know how that works. But I do think back in the day that it kind of got a bit out of hand that they had to stop it, and then they brought in all the guys with the makeup and everything. All the goths.
Yeah, the glam, and the goth.
No, the glam rock came before the punk thing.
Ah.
And then after the punk thing, it was all the goth stuff with the black clothes and the makeup.
Yes. Okay.
The new wave, as they called it.
Ah.
Yeah, all that stuff. So I think they put a halt to that because people were angry, and rightly so back then.
Yeah.
I mean, if that, well, I mean, I'm of that generation, but if the generation of my generation were around today, young, early 20s or something, they'd be livid at what's going on. They'd be tearing the city buildings down. They'd be burning them to the ground and saying, we're not having this.
Well, it's kind of interesting too because I mean, your generation still is around, and it's
angry.
Yeah, it's interesting how every generation has their music made for them.
Yeah.
And to create them into a certain place it's like if you look around, you had a good conversation with a couple that were older than you, but what has that anger and angst actually achieved? It's just of like a steam valve, and
Yeah,
then in
it didn't
comes the
achieve
next.
anything.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
know, but at least you felt it.
yeah,
At least you recognised something was wrong.
yeah.
I mean, these kids are just going through life thinking everything's going to be handed to them on a plate,
Hmm.
and they don't seem to have any concept of not being able to get stuff. Like
No.
when I was young, I mean, I don't take any pride in this, but I left home at 15, and we used to get up in the middle of the night and go to the back of the shops where they got the rolls and everything delivered and take some of that stuff because we didn't have any money.
Hmm.
We had nothing. We were living in Margaret Thatcher's Britain,
Hmm.
and I think the dole money at that time there were no jobs. They kept going on about jobs and all this stuff. Um, the dole money was £29 a fortnight.
Oh, wow.
And you had to get to the dole office, so you had to pay your you had to pay your fares off of that on the buses and everything to go and sign this little thing with the really obnoxious person behind the desk. Say, what have you been doing for the last 2 weeks? Oh, starving. What have you been doing?
Wow.
You know. Oh, I did have a friend of mine who was a mercenary, believe it or not, and this was later in life, and he'd gone in when they started getting really strict about, how many jobs have you applied for this week? How many jobs this week? Oh, where have you been? Da, da, da. And he says, well, they turned around and said to him, what do you do? What can you do? He says, well, I've killed quite a lot of people. Have you got any jobs doing that? And they say, oh, just sign here, get out here. You're all right. I'm ex-army and now I'm a mercenary. Do you have any jobs for that? And yeah, I mean, I remember being in there one day and they gave me a form to fill in. And the grammar, the English, all of it was it was gibberish. It was
Really?
just dreadful. You couldn't make head or tail of it. The questions didn't make any sense. And I turned around to this girl across the desk from me who was like 20 years my junior. And I said, are there any jobs writing up your forms? Because I could do a better job than the person who did this one. And she said, what do you mean? And I showed her the form. I said, tell me how that makes sense. And she couldn't. I said,
Wow.
how do you expect me to sign that form when it doesn't make any sense?
Do you
And then,
remember what she said?
well, then she didn't say anything to that. She just started on the usual, what have you been doing the last 5 years? And at that
Mm.
time, I think I can't remember, I'd been to Turkey, I said, cooked in a restaurant, I'd done this, I'd done that, I went to Bulgaria, I'd done whatever it was I did. And I says, what have you done? She looked like she'd just fallen out of bed and come to work. I said, what have you done? And she kind of got me out of there as quickly as possible. She couldn't answer that question either.
No.
But no,
I'm
there's like, as I say, like these young people today, if they were put in that situation, they'd be terrified. They'd be going, oh yeah, oh, I better do this, I better do that, I better do that. They wouldn't have any. They don't seem to have any. I don't know, how would you put it? Any realization that they're just being abused at every turn by the system. And the only thing they're going to get angry about is if somebody calls them a he instead of a she, or some nonsense like that.
hmm
Never mind what's important in life. Never mind that the government's sucking the life out of you. Never mind that your media's lying to you every day of the week. Never mind
I
that
mean,
you've got
yeah,
pedophiles in Parliament.
this has been commented on before for the last several years, but it's just so true that it bears repeating. But we used to be, when in our generation and before in the 60s and whatever, if you go back,
The good
even
old
though
days.
it would, yeah, the good old days, even though, yes, then it was all orchestrated. The young people were told what to protest, what their protest music was, where to show up, etc. So I understand, it's always been a fake system, but at least it was orchestrated so that young people always felt like they were, you know, arguing against the man. We're standing up against the man. Even like if you look at the Wall Street, Occupy Wall Street, all of that kind of stuff was about against the system and against the man. And something in the last decade or so, the youth have been completely co-opted by the system, and they protest nothing, like you said, except, don't call me by the wrong pronoun.
Yeah.
It's just fascinating, but we are watching the first series of young people who seem to be completely compliant with the system for the most part. There are exceptions.
They're completely lost. I mean,
Yes.
there's no. I don't think they've got any plans for the future.
No.
I don't think they probably think they don't have a future, and they'd be right. But
I was struck. I had mentioned in Tragedy and Hope book club that section that I read on the U.S. and the middle class crisis. When I read the book years ago, I was so struck by it, and I realized it's because, even though it was written ahead of my youth by a couple of decades, it still really resonated with me, because what Quigley was talking about was how the youth, really since World War II, had been stripped of purpose and meaning. And of course, he would know that was by design. And I that really resonated with me, because all through my youth, it's like, I don't really want to do what my parents are doing. This whole rebellion against the middle class values and middle class ideals, and how, what's supposed to be important for you. And that is something that we don't really have now. And one of the reasons is because the parents themselves are putting the cat head on the child. You know what I mean? It's like, how can you rebel against your parents if they're the ones who are going down to the school and saying, well, my daughter identifies as a cat?
and you better listen to her.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, well, the teacher's got to do a course in cat language, so you can understand that. What you saying to me? Meow, meow, meow. Yeah, and there was actually at that punk festival, there was one walking about doing that, going meow, meow. I was like, jeez, what? You just want to, I don't know, get a lead out and say, get on that lead. See out here. I've mentioned before, the best way to cure that is to put a cat flap in the door and put the litter box there and say, there you go, on you go. You're out for the night. Enjoy it. Yeah, and here's your cat chow. Yeah.
Then they're very upset. Well, I'm an indoor cat.
Yeah. Well, the litter tray is there for you. Don't worry about it. You're not using the bathroom anymore because you don't allow animals in the bathroom.
Oh. So how is the jewelry, the weekend shows? You were busy, I know.
It's going all right. Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Are you working pretty much every weekend on it?
Yeah.
That's great.
I was making some this morning. But it's funny because I go twice a month to one. So the Dude Ranch, I mentioned it before.
Yes.
And it's checking out day. So I do really well in the morning. And I'm quite happy I'm ready to go home, because I know at 1 o'clock it's dead. They get 2 hours of nothing. But I don't know why they don't change the time. But that's what happens. But it's you get long quiet spells sometimes, and then you suddenly get a brush and go, whew, that saved my day.
That's good.
But yeah, it's going all right. Happy enough with it.
Good. So about how much time are you putting into making jewelry for it? Do you have a system kind of worked out?
Not really. There's always things getting in the way.
All right.
It's like I've got to do this, do that. But yeah. But yeah, I'll get up early and get some. I was up early this morning. I made some then, so that gets that out of the way, and then I can do things in the daylight outside. So.
And how are the chickens?
They're all right. Still laying eggs. Still getting plenty of them. Not a problem. I was up in the agricultural store the other day. They just got a load of chicks in, so I might get another couple of little ones. Keep them going.
Great.
Yeah.
Do you have any new varieties? You had Rhode Island Red and.
I've still got the two of them. I've still got one of the blues, the sapphires, and one call them buff Orpingtons. So I've only got 4 left. So. But I'm going to get another couple of those ones because they're really placid. The Rhode Island Reds are really noisy. So I ain't getting any more of them.
So the buff Orpingtons are quiet and easy.
Yeah, they're placid. Yeah, the blue ones are the same. Yeah, they're good. They're all well. Even the red ones are a bit. One of them tried to peck me the other day when I picked it up. I was like, "What are you doing? I'm feeding you. You know, any more of that, I'm going to feed you the furry."
Yeah. How about gardening?
I haven't done anything with that.
Yeah.
We've not had any rain. We had a little bit of rain this morning, but literally we've barely had a drop of rain this year.
We've had a good amount of rain so far here, and weird weather. It went. I guess it was 2 weeks. 2 weeks ago, we went into the hottest day probably they've ever had in a March, end of March. But
it was 92 degrees here on Saturday.
Yeah, well, Saturday here it was freezing. We went down to freezing, and we got this 52-year-old unit, and so we had just gotten it to blow cool, and it dipped down for a couple of days to the freezing, and then it was just blowing cold air, no heat. And I asked my brother, he's not a repairman, but I said, well, what do you think the problem is? And he said, oh, it's just probably a wire that's so ancient it's corroded and broke or whatever, And I'm like, oh, you know what? This is what sweaters and heavy socks are for.
Yeah, emergencies.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, talking about that, I just sent you a thing there about Florida. Florida's trying to pass a bill to ban geoengineering. Except,
I saw that. Yeah.
Yeah, except one of them wants to water it down just to make it legal.
Make it legal.
It's 2 Republicans. One Republican's put this bill in, which is supposed to be to ban it altogether. And another Republican is apparently, in the words of Mr. DeSantis, gutted it and basically wants to codify it and make it like a legal thing. Basically, pay us a license and you can do what you want.
Right.
So you know where that's going.
Yeah.
But the UN, of course. I didn't send you this one, but the UN considers allowing geoengineering for carbon credits despite the UN banning geoengineering. Since when did they ban it?
I don't know.
I don't think they did. I guess they've got their weather weapons treaty, but that's for wartime use, isn't it? So that's not exactly geoengineering to block out the sun or anything. But,
no, yeah. and Alan has often pointed out that these treaties, they really only ban another aggressor country from it doesn't have anything to do with what your own country decides to do. Yeah,
you can spray your own people. Yeah, you can spray your own people. You just can't attack anybody else.
Yeah.
I'd love to know how they do that in Europe when all these countries are landlocked. And they're spraying one country and it's floating across to the next one.
Yeah. Well, they just need to have some of those plexiglass barriers like they had during Operation C.
Oh, yeah.
That'll stop it from crossing a border.
Yeah. It depends which way the wind's blowing, of course. I mean, the stuff must know which way the wind's blowing so that people can walk the opposite direction or something. I don't know.
Yeah, well, we'll have to look into this. I'm just looking at that article you sent me a couple of days ago. It says the UN Convention on Biological Diversity has prohibited it. That's something. Well, we will be sure and post this for you so that you can read it yourself. I'm kind of scrolling through it right now.
It's quite a long one.
Yeah. Okay. So I really appreciate you stepping in. I've been busy. I've settled with my aunt. I was hoping we were going to do the sale this weekend, although I have to say I was getting pretty tired and needed to, kind of rejuvenate myself here. But she said yesterday, I think we should wait towards the end of the month. And she may have a point. Easter is next weekend, the week, not this one coming up, but the one following. And so I think we're going to do it at the end of the month. But it's been very helpful that you stepped in and
Not a problem.
and people have enjoyed it. I haven't even had time to check in with you, but I always get comments, people saying how much they enjoy hearing from you, and also they really enjoyed your conversation with Matt Finlay in Australia and his music.
Yeah, just on that note, I was going to mention he's put that he had a project called Culture with a K,
right?
And it features I'm not sure if they're all Australian musicians, but musicians putting out kind of truth music, and he's giving that away for free on his site at the moment, on his Bandcamp site.
Oh, great!
For listeners to this broadcast.
Oh, that's great. Okay, so the Culture, which you mentioned in your talk with him last week, was disbanding, and so Matt is giving that away for free on Bandcamp. I will put a link to his Bandcamp again.
I think it's only up for a limited time, but and you can donate to it if you want to. So,
okay.
There you go.
Right, well, I'll put that link with it. That's great. Yeah, good.
Okay.
So I'm trying to think. I mean, that's basically it. On my end, I was able to take a lot of March, besides working on this project with my aunt, and just let my mind have a break from routine, which is good, and then start to focus on the Waiting for the Miracle book club, which is convening this month. Are you going to read along with us?
When do you do it?
Well, we haven't started yet. I'm going to do a first recording. I mentioned it Sunday, but we'll probably do a first recording in.
Well, I don't actually have the book here. That book's in Bulgaria.
Oh, well, I'll send you a copy. How's that?
Well, it's not too much bother.
Oh, no, it's not too much bother at all. I'll post that out because it would be great to have you join in. I think what we're going to do over at Telegram, this is the idea, is that we will record a talk together as a little book club group on a Saturday. So we're going to try to keep every Saturday going for, say, an hour or an hour and a half. And then
I can't do Saturdays though.
Well, I can do a special one with you if you want to cover a section with me. We can record another time.
Okay.
Yeah, and then you can pick up whatever we post. That'll be available. That is, on a not Saturday. You know what I mean? You can go and check it out and hear it on a Sunday or a Monday or Tuesday, whatever. That'll post. So we'll put some stuff up. It seems to be that Saturday is the most universally good time for people. So.
Yeah, I'm the opposite. My weekdays are okay, but the weekends are full.
Yeah, somebody asked me just yesterday what was the best day for me for doing something. They wanted me to do something, and I said, probably Monday. If I have a Sunday, if I have a rest day, it's Monday. So.
Yeah, that's mine. Yeah.
Yeah.
But okay. Well,
yeah, I'm just scrolling through here. I said we were going to do a kind of a short one today, but I'm just kind of scrolling up here through the things that you sent me. We mentioned geoengineering. There was an article.
The farmers' strike. Farmers' strike in the UK. Now, when I first saw this, there was a little. I can't remember the articles. There's a video in that article, and I can't remember if it's that one. But the farmers, it's like they're cutting their own throats again. I don't see how creating a bread shortage is going to go down well with the public.
No.
Because they'll get the blame. Mm-hmm. It ain't going to be the government that gets the blame. The government's going to say, it's the farmers. How are the farmers going to get on the BBC and blame the government? That ain't going to happen. It's... I do a lot of markets and like farmers markets. The problem with the farmers markets is they're way too expensive. Mm-hmm. And there's no need for it. I mean, I've done canning and stuff. I know how much that stuff costs to make, and they're ripping people off. Mm-hmm. If you had a real farmers market, it would be on a farm, right?
Right.
And you'd be able to go to that farm and you'd have all the vegetables all laid out there. Whether you pick your own or what, like they do with strawberries, go in there. You can pick dig up your own potatoes if you want, whatever. That'd be a great farmers market, wouldn't it? They're still on the ground.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen some things. There were a couple of these co-op type places in Canada near the Sudbury area that worked more like a true farmers market. I don't know of anything in my neighborhood like this, but where even if you were not farming or growing things, you could pay in or buy into this, and people would just bring their excess produce and cooperatively feed each other.
Yeah.
And,
Well, as I say, I mean,
but
if the farmers want to get on the right side of the public, then open up their farms
yeah,
and let the public come around and actually appreciate the work that these guys do,
hmm
rather than just see them as greedy opportunists. I mean, that's people don't understand how little these guys are getting paid for the
hmm
stuff. If they did, then they might have a bit of sympathy for them, considering all the regulations that have come in, and which cost them a lot of money to run these farms, and that's why they're going out of business, and that's all by design.
yeah. And another thing too that I don't know if the farmers are considering this or not, but it has to have crossed somebody's mind that most of the food production in the world now is in the hands of just a half dozen gigantic agribusinesses.
Yeah, I think if you had a local, I mean, you don't have to travel very far out of a city to come across a farm, especially in the UK. It's good growing land. Ireland's the same. I mean, Florida might be a bit hard pressed to find something, but there are wholesalers. These big wholesale markets where the people go to buy the stuff for their stores. They could have a farmers market for the public once a week and cut out the stores completely. There's solutions to everything. If people would just, maybe they have to bite the bullet a little bit and take a bit less money for a little while people get used to the idea. But start growing real food that has some taste to it, then people will come back. I mean, I hear so many people that have bought stuff in the store saying there's no taste to it. I'm like, well, why buy it?
Right.
Why are you buying it then?
Right. It really is a revelation if you grow something. I mean, this year won't be able to have even a tiny little bit of a garden because, now is the time to get it going, and I can't do that.
Yeah,
but I mean, some years my results from my little garden have been so few, but still it's a revelation. It's like, oh, okay, that's what a tomato should taste like,
Yeah, I mean, one year I had stacks of tomatoes. I mean, the plants were 8 feet tall. And I staked them all up and they grew. Then I don't know what it is. I just never got the time. But I need to get onto it. But yeah, even if you go to these, there was a little stall, a little produce stall at one of the markets I was at, and I bought stuff from them, and I couldn't understand how the lady was making money. She probably wasn't a very good business person, because she was driving all over the place, picking up this, that, and the next thing. And I thought, geez, you're spending more on gas than you're making here. But the stuff was good. You could taste it, And I bought off them whenever I went to the market, and it was cheap. It doesn't have to be expensive. There's no need for it to be expensive. If enough people would get together in a little co-op or something and put their stuff together, and the public come along and buy it. That's without ripping them off.
It's so many things. I mean, it's got to work on a lot of different levels, and one of them is just for people to understand what things should taste like or could taste like. And Alan told this story about how he used to go to a little restaurant. I don't know if it was an Italian fellow. It wasn't like Italian food. It was just all kinds of food. But anyway, they had good food, good sandwiches and homemade soup. And the reason why it was good is because everything was homemade. And the guy who ran the restaurant sourced good homegrown vegetables and local produce and all of that. And Alan said whenever he was in the area, he'd like to go in and have a bowl of homemade tomato soup with homegrown tomatoes, and it was just so good. So one time he had been on the road, he'd been traveling, he's in music, and he hadn't been in there in about a year or so. And he went and he saw the owner and talked and had a nice conversation, and then he got his usual bowl of tomato soup. And Alan actually said to the owner, he said, well, this isn't your tomato soup. What's happening here? And the guy said, well, it's basically like Campbell's tomato soup.
Oh, yeah.
He was using, and he said, the young people prefer, he said, they've grown up eating Campbell's tomato soup and the equivalent of, processed food. And their taste buds now dictate that that's what they think is good. And if you give them homemade with homegrown tomatoes, they react negatively to it. They don't want that. Where's my good tomato
Where's my
soup?
genetically modified stuff?
Exactly. And you know what, too, Neil? It's all got sugar at it. If you look at the ingredients of process, sugar and salt. It's it's
and all these scientific chemical names that you have no clue what they are anyway.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I mean, tomato soup should have tomatoes and water and a bit of salt, maybe. That's it.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. But these chemicals that I don't know, they make you want to, I don't know, be a furry.
maybe. Yeah, they must like chicken soup.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's bizarre. It's bizarre. But
cream of anything.
I know we're short of time today, but if you can't get the vegetables, one I did send you. I mean, it's from the US Sun, so I don't know what to make of this, but spare human bodies grown in artificial wombs in the lab. The scientists insist bodyoids feel no pain and can serve as meat.
I saw that.
Yeah, I mean,
I saw that.
When I got this, I had to check the date to make sure it wasn't April 1st, but no, it's March 27th. So.
Yeah. Why don't you read a little? I mean, this is a good one. So this comes from the U.S. Sun. The Sun is a UK paper, and this is the U.S. edition.
Tabloid.
And it's a tabloid, but it's still, they pretend that they're
out there. Yeah, they put stuff out there to get you used to it.
And they are, the thing about this article is that it's coming from an idea, they say, that comes out of MIT.
Yeah, great. You can trust them.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, the researchers insisted on moving forward with the revolutionary plan. Where's the ethics people?
Right.
Where are these people when they say, "Hold on, you can't be growing human body parts for meat"? There's something wrong with it. It doesn't say to be served to humans, but well, I don't know if it does. Maybe it can. Cutting-edge scientists have unveiled a disturbing plan to grow soulless spare human bodies that can be used for medical experiments and even meat. The so-called bodyoids would be grown in artificial wombs and have the eerie ability to withstand endless pain. So they can practice their torture techniques, right?
Yeah.
And then see what works, see what doesn't. What? It's almost like it's Frankenstein, right?
Right. Well, they even refer to it as such.
Oh, do they? Oh, I've not got that yet. I didn't read it. So
carry on.
Cutting-edge scientists, cutting-edge again, have made a bizarre pitch to grow soulless human bodies for medical research. The scientists, I wouldn't even say their names, made their bizarre pitch in MIT Technology Review and explained why the Frankenstein-esque plan would revolutionize medicine. I wonder if this is to do with cloning. I don't know. They said the zombie-ish bodies would be key to testing out new medicines and growing human organs for transplants. Well, they're growing a whole human. Why would you need a transplant? Just replace your whole body, right? It's just Mr. Rockefeller, you're 95 years old. Do you want to be 24 again? We've got a new body for you. Yeah, the plan would become a reality by using pluripotent stem cells, one of the earliest cell types to form during human development. The stem cells have already been used to grow organic matter and most recently helped to successfully create a structure that resembles a human embryo. It sounded very much like Brave New World, isn't it?
Yeah.
Researchers hope to grow the fetuses entirely outside a body in artificial uteruses, which are already being tested in labs. I thought they already had them, actually. They plan on using genetic techniques to stunt brain production and ensure the body lacks sentience. That sounds like you're just producing something to have it continually tortured.
Yes. Yeah.
You know, and maybe they're going to test the it's like trauma-based mind control or something. You know, this being, I would imagine, would get very frustrated, like the Frankenstein monster did.
Yes.
Once they're grown, the bodies could address many ethical problems in modern medicine. But there's no ethics being practiced on them, is there? Offering ways to avoid unnecessary pain and suffering, wrote the scientists. So it's offering ways to avoid unnecessary pain and suffering by torturing these things that you've grown in the lab. Right. One of those issues, according to the brazen scientists, is sourcing ethical meat. Now, what's ethical about this? They wrote, for example, they could offer an ethical alternative to the way we currently use non-human animals for research and food, providing meat or other products with no animal suffering or awareness. Well, why do they need something with a high pain tolerance if it's not going to suffer?
Right.
They just don't want it to know it's been tortured, right? The researchers admitted their plan poses endless ethical questions, but stressed the world of possibilities that could open up if the spare bodies are developed. If, I think, you know, when they're telling you they've already done it, right?
Mm-hmm.
They pointed out how medical researchers have been primarily relying on animals for testing. Well, that's the way to think about us anyway, which isn't always directly transferable to human treatments. Well, they tell us that all the time with vaccinations, don't they?
Mm-hmm.
You're just lab rats, just the same. Plus, the testing potentially tortures the creatures as they are sentient and feel pain. So now they're just going to create artificial human beings that can torture at will.
Mm-hmm.
According to the researchers, endless drugs are constantly being tested, but very few of them get cleared for safe use on people. Very few of them, really. There's millions of these things. What are they talking about? And none of them are safe. Here is everything we know about the proposal. Scientists have proposed growing human bodies without consciousness for medical use. These bodies could serve as a source for organ transplants and solve shortages. Nobody's ever explained to me where all these organs go. I mean, how many organ transplants are done? It's not that many. So why do they need all these organs? The pitch poses serious moral dilemmas about the misuse of technology and biology. The concept, once fiction, is edging closer to actual science. This is what passes for science now, right? That's because the meds have to be performed on live humans in clinical trials that risk harm to patients and can take a decade or longer to complete. So there's a selling point. We won't have to use real humans to do this.
Right.
But it says that they're performed. That's because the meds have to be performed on live humans. Well, aren't these things going to be alive as well? They just can't feel the pain and they're not sentient, but they're still alive.
Yeah, and if you just apply a little bit of logic to their reason for doing this, they don't feel pain the way other people do. Well, then what kind of testing is that? You won't know what the drug will do on a sentient human being who is capable of feeling pain, will you?
Yeah, it's like the guy getting the little hammer out to test your reflexes in your knee.
Yeah.
And they asked this thing, how's that feel? He's, well, I don't know. Never felt a thing. Only about 15% of those trials are actually successfully completed, the researcher said. So they've done 15% of them, haven't they? Medical mystery. The scientists pointed to over 100,000 Americans who are currently waiting for a solid organ transplant. A solid organ transplant. As opposed to what? I thought they were all solid. I mean, name me an organ that's not solid. I'm stressed that the crisis isn't stopping anytime soon. Nobody's asking the question, why are there 100,000 Americans needing transplants? They also noted that medical students rely on people who opt to donate their bodies to science for necessary training in school. Well, I guess these things they're going to create don't have to consent, do they?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you can imagine a lawyer getting involved here and saying, "Hey, hold on a minute. This creature you've created is not sentient, and it can't actually give its consent to your medical experiments. So what are you going to do with that?" At the end of the bizarre essay, the scientists made a desperate plea to start testing on rodents as soon as possible. Well, they've been doing that for how many decades? They said until recently, the idea of making something like a bodyoid would have been relegated to the realms of science fiction and philosophical speculation. But now it is at least plausible and possibly revolutionary. It is time for it to be explored. Yeah. How about they just experiment on these so-called scientists? We've got a new drug. We're going to test it on you. How about that? Oh no, I'm sentient. You can't do that. Make sure it's a solid organ. Yeah.
Neil, this
So there we go.
I mean, the article itself is some kind of trial balloon.
Mm-hmm.
But even if you think about it, let's just say that some years down the road they were doing this. What would something like this do to the minds of, I mean, the scientists are a ghoulish lot who would want to do this, but let's just say a lab technician who was working in there. I mean, to be doing any kind of experimentation on a soulless, zombie-ish bodyoid is going to turn the lab tech into some kind of crazy psychopath.
Yeah, I think he's got to be very fussy when he goes to the canteen.
Yeah.
Do you want a burger, Jimmy? No, I think I'll skip it today. Yeah, one leg or two. Yeah. It's but the people that think up this stuff. What is wrong with them?
Yeah.
I mean, if you or I came out with some ridiculous idea like this, we'd be locked up in a straitjacket.
Yeah.
As these people should be, or locked away for life somewhere anyway. But I mean, if they can create spare bodies from scratch, are they going to scale this up? They could create a whole army, couldn't they, of super soldiers who can't feel any pain and aren't sentient enough to think that shooting all those babies and things doesn't really matter. Maybe they've done it in Israel before. I don't know. maybe that's what's running around out there. Because they don't seem very sentient or human.
No, that's very good point.
Yeah, I mean, remember the movie Soylent Green is Food?
Yeah.
Although that was for the vegetarians, wasn't it? This is probably for the meat eaters. But going back to what you said about the Campbell's tomato soup, I mean, if they start putting this in food and don't tell anybody, which is probably what they would do, and the generation gets used to the taste of it, no, they won't notice any difference, will they? They won't want real meat. Oh, that tastes funny. Yeah, yeah, that's a cow.
And there's pushes. I haven't kept up on this, but in the last year, you may remember that they have said that they were either going to or they were contemplating, and I don't know if it's federal or state by state, but that they would not have to list ingredients anymore.
Yeah, they're trying to do away with the labels altogether.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's bad enough we don't really know like what is organic, and different countries have had better labeling about whether something was genetically modified. But here in the US, they're just saying, well, we think we should do away with labels altogether.
Yeah. How many years did people fight to have labels put on?
Yeah. And I know, something here particularly about vegetables is that if you buy a vegetable now, it may tell you, it used to say it was grown in Mexico or grown in the US or grown in Canada, but now it may just say packaged somewhere.
Yeah. Well,
and in Canada, that was the labeling problem for years, was that you might buy, say, a box of tea or cookies or something like that, and you could never find out where it was actually made. It would just say packaged in Canada. I was
I
like,
was
well,
in
I would like to know where this came from.
I was in Aldi's the other day. Their stuff's labelled where it comes from. Because I looked at the grapes and stuff. The grapes come from Chile. I mean, like, can't we grow grapes here?
Yeah, evidently not.
Well, they grow them in California,
Yeah.
So I don't know why we can't have them. But yeah, that's sustainable development, right? Yeah. So yeah, I mean, maybe if you want to fill your freezer, maybe you can put a pre-order in for an extra human body for meat. Order it in advance. I'll be there to pick it up. Can you cut it up a bit for me so I can fit it in the freezer? Yeah.
Oh, Neil, it's just a
Yeah, I mean,
macabre.
look, we'll get even more macabre. They could probably season it for you. Tenderize it, you know. You'll tenderize it with one of those wooden hammers with the little pointy bits on them because it doesn't feel any pain anyway. So what does it matter? You put it up with one of those hammers and then they give us a nice tender steak for you, sir. Yeah, but can you take the head off it, please?
Oh.
It's just,
And you know the trouble with the way that they have warped people, the furry generation, for lack of a better way of putting it, is that this is going to be completely logical to them as a way of fighting climate change, and it's sustainable, and the moral black and white, the slippery slope has already been slid down.
Yeah. I mean, I wonder if they're going to do the same as they do with the chickens, just pump them full of water so you pay more per pound.
I'm sure.
It's, but again, I mean, how, if this was really going to happen, what size of factory would you need? I mean, it's nuts.
It
But
is
yeah,
nuts.
like I say, it's a little teaser to see what the reaction is going to be.
Well, what I think, I'm just looking at this in the MIT Technology Review, so that it's an opinion piece by these scientists. But I think maybe my homework assignment here is to look up these scientists and see if who's backing them, where are they from, why are we getting this? Yeah. Why are we getting this trial balloon?
Yeah.
Interesting.
But it's a medical breakthrough, don't you know? I thought medicine was about curing people.
No, it's about
well,
ethically sourced meat.
I bet you RFK Jr. will endorse this.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure he will. Because he's all for the climate change stuff as well, isn't he?
Yeah.
So, yeah. So take your MMR shots and by the way, have a burger.
No, I'm going to see if I can figure out where these fellows come from and who actually is behind a trial balloon such as this. Interesting.
RFK Jr. will probably turn out and can you make an anti-obesity burger out of
yes.
this? So,
yeah. Well, listen, I better run, get going, but I'm glad to be back into a routine with you. It's always fun to talk to you, and I appreciate you stepping in, and everybody else does too. So thanks.
I've said it before. I've got a bit of a dark sense of humor, so you got to laugh at these things sometimes.
Oh, you do have to laugh at them, and I think everybody really likes your dark sense of humor. I do. You make me laugh.
Well, that's one end. One enemy. Yeah.
All right. Well, listen, have a good couple of weeks, and I'll be talking to you soon.
Yeah. Okay.
And I will send you the book. Just send me your mailing address, and I'll post that out to you.
Right. Okay. Thank you.
All right. Thanks.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
All right. Bye.
I've got something that the world didn't give me, and the world cannot take it away. And I've got something that the world didn't give me, and the world cannot take it away. Well, it is love, sweet love, oh, sent to me from my